experiences are so vast that it would be tough to choose and pick. You will always see him doing things for people who can do nothing for him, who cannot return that in any form of favor. And oftentimes when we are involved in acts of kindness, we sort of forget that principle, keeping his word or keeping his promise. And there's just no circumstance where I have seen him go back on that. So however difficult it becomes for him because of changing circumstances to keep a particular promise, he will always deliver because he's given his word.
My next question is also related to your book. You have written in your book about your experiences of watching the actions and principles of Mr. Tata, your Millennial Dumbledore, in day-to-day life. For example, when you go out for a haircut or while making big business decisions. So could you please elaborate on these experiences?
Yeah, I think the experiences are so vast that it would be tough to choose and pick, and the book covers pretty much everything, but I can point out two values that sort of penetrate all his actions, which I have noticed as a pattern, recurring pattern. And to everyone who keeps asking me in other contexts, we want to be like Mr. Tata. These two are solid pointers to do just that, apart from being a good businessman. So one thing is, when you're doing acts of kindness, you should do it for people who can do nothing for you. So you will always see him doing things for people who can do nothing for him, who cannot return that in any form of favor. And oftentimes when we are involved in acts of kindness, we sort of forget that principle, that the acts of kindness usually shouldn't have an expectation of any return. And you will see him do that day in and day out. He will just help someone and forget about it, and it will never occur to him again. And the second one, I think, would be the gravity of promises. So one very important thing to Mr. Tata is keeping his word or keeping his promise. And there's just no circumstance where I have seen him go back on that. So however difficult it becomes for him because of changing circumstances to keep a particular promise, he will always deliver because he's given his word. And I think that's a very translatable lesson which I try my best to follow, but I'll be honest, it's very challenging. But for him, it comes with such ease because he's just practiced it all his life. So I think these two sort of go across all the experiences I've had with him, which of course the book covers.
Wonderful. You're working very closely with Mr. Tata. He himself is a superhuman, as we all know. So what is it like to work beneath the lighthouse like him? If you can share some interesting anecdotes with our viewers.
So one thing I didn't figure out in the early part of my job was the fact that Mr. Tata is a walking, talking archive of all things Tata, all things business, and so many interactions. So for example, when I used to suggest some things very excitedly and he would not really go forward with some of those, I would be a little conflicted as to why that's happening. But it would be only a matter of time before it became very clear why he took a decision which he had thought about 10 steps forward, which is something that I wouldn't have been able to do. But it's not very much in the face, and he won't really come and say to you on your face that this is the reason why you shouldn't do this, or this is the reason. He will just calmly and subtly tell you, let's not go this way, let's go that way. And it is a matter of time before it becomes very clear as things unfold why he went that particular way. And then you begin to understand the depth of the knowledge and history and just business acumen that he has. And to be exposed to that day on day is a true privilege. So I think every single day, if you're alert enough, you get to learn these things. But he doesn't teach you in a sit down and I'll tell you 10 things that you should do it kind of way. It's more observe and learn kind of way. So if you're inattentive or if you're not observant, then you will miss out on a lot of opportunities of learning things that he's doing in daily life. So to be constantly on your toes around him and while working under him, and to be constantly observing why is it that he's taking particular minuscule actions has a lot of learnings in there.